It's thinking. And here we go. We are now live. Welcome to today's live broadcast of our Checking In, No Vacancy continuing series here. I am, of course, with Anthony Melchiorri, my podcast partner. And today we've got a bunch of gentlemen from the management companies because we really want to get a better understanding of what is going on, what they are thinking, and how they are coping with stuff now, how we can get through the short term and have a positive path forward. I'll bring you guys in just 1 second, but Anthony, maybe you could start us off real quick with what you're thinking this morning.
I'm thinking that it's a great morning, and I think we need to talk to these gentlemen to see what's going on in the world, and I'll jump in as needed.
All right, I agree. All right, Chris, Mike, Kerry. Yesterday, all the major brand leaders were up on Capitol Hill. Plus, folks like Chip Rogers, Roger Dow. I'm pretty sure Cecil Staten was there, but I don't know that for sure from a HOA. They were out there trying to put the story forward about the critical nature of hospitality. Chris, what did you think of what was going on yesterday?
I mean, I think it's what had to be done, quite frankly, Glenn. We needed the speakers of our industry to be with the president and the administration and let them know. I've never in my 30 years seen a confluence of events that's hit so hardly and directly at our business. And I mean, I'm sure you'll hear more today in the call, but we needed them up there asking for financial assistance for our owners, our associates, everybody that's touched by this impact. That our business is really in a free fall. And I know there's a lot of others, airlines, but everything associated with travel has been hit significantly. And there's really no real good answers right now.
No, that makes it really tough. Mike, you're chairman of this company. You've been around for a while, and I'm not making a swipe at your age over here, so don't think I'm insulting you. But you've seen a lot. Obviously, this is something unlike we've ever seen. This is the that black swan event that everybody usually uses to qualify any statements they're making. So, how are you guys coping on a day-to-day basis? And maybe even it's an hour-to-hour basis right now. So maybe start with what you thought about yesterday and what it means to you.
Yesterday was just the macro of what we're experiencing on a micro level with what's going on. I was very impressed with the leaders of the industry. Nacetta just came out and point blank said, we're closing hotels. I think he was the only one that did that yesterday, but with an understanding that when you get down to single digit occupancy, you have to make those tough calls. I was very impressed with the group as a whole, and that their number one priority was our team members at our hotels across the board. And that needed to be addressed before anything else was addressed, because when business does decide to return and the virus has gone away, we're going to have our team members back. And so we don't need to let them get too far away, and do whatever we can to support them. And I believe the comment yesterday in regards to having a hospitality team member funding outside of standard unemployment, I think that would be great too. I don't know how we would do that, so I'm waiting anxiously to hear that.
Right, Anthony, what are your reactions to what these gentlemen are going through today?
Well, as we were saying the last couple of days, the most important thing is everybody keep a steady head and take care of your employees, because we're going to come out of this, and the way we come out of this, people will remember. And this is the moment where we have to show true leadership. It's easy to run hotels when things are good, even though when I say easy, it's hard to run hotels.
He said that because we all need to laugh.
It's much easier to run them when the money's flowing and they're open. It's much harder when you're really dealing with the human condition, and you have to make sure that we take care of our employees and we take care of our team. And that's what it comes down to right now. And then the government's got to take care of all of us and make us whole again, because there's not one person on this call right now that's not going through something that we're going to need help at the end of this, because our industry has stopped. So I agree with everything you just said.
Right. Absolutely. We have all been extremely devastated by this. So, Kerry, what are you seeing? What are your observations out there? What's going through your head right now?
Well, I think you said it best first. It's hour by hour. What goes through our heads and changes that are throwing at us. I think we do a great job as an industry in dealing with challenges that are in front of us. This brings it to a whole nother level. been through a lot as a company, whether it was post 9/11, hurricanes, the 2008 financial. I think the piece right now from our end, and I was telling this to Mike yesterday, is just the overwhelming response from our team, whether it's our corporate team or even our people in the field, on what they're willing to do to try and make it through this, offering up for themselves pay cuts, of which absolutely tears at your heart. But the fact that they see it, and I think the realization of, look, we see we're going to get back to work, but what can we do in the situation to help us? I think the entrepreneurial spirit of our managers and our corporate team has been unbelievable, and I think tears at us as we have to go through this with the hard decisions.
Right. And I know that both of your companies, both at HB Hotels and Chris at Chesapeake Hospitality, you so value your team members. And you guys have put such effort into making sure that they feel loved and cared for and have a pathway to success. But now, Chris, it seems like you've got to make some tough decisions that go beyond people. You need to try to figure out how to save your entire organization, right? So that's really tough. And again, I don't want to sound negative. I just want to sound like a realist right here and understand what you're going through, so other people can understand that we're all in this together and we're all experiencing the same things. And maybe by sharing these stories, we'll be able to find a pathway out of this together. So, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, if I take a more broad brush, I mean, there's a concern that I have for the broader management company estate. I mean, I know what our board has been meeting on twice a day to talk about, and Kerry's comments are very astute. We've had the same thing. We have a culture company, and everything that we're doing, we've tried to vet through our culture of caring for our people and making sure that we're ready to come back. But it's very difficult, and I think these other two gentlemen would agree. You have these hard factors in place that are revenues going to zero in some places, and trying to figure out how do you manage that. And it really comes down to the decisions that you make and the leadership that you take and how you connect with your associates in this time of need. We're exploring everything. I mean, we're looking at every single model of transition, from furlough to alternating work weeks to I'm literally talking to 4 other management company CEOs on a text thread, asking them what they're doing, because as an industry, we've got to be together, because hospitality is not going away, but it sure feels like it right now. It does.
Right. Yeah, man. So, Mike, I want to get back to you in a second, but Chris, you are so typically a positive person, right? And this is a huge blow to all of us. How do you continue to try to be positive and proactive in a situation like this, where you have to make all of these really tough decisions? And I should say, before you answer, I love that you are talking to other CEOs and stuff like that to try to crowdsource solutions so everybody can find some modicum of a pathway through this. Please share.
I'm always been transparent with you. There's hours at night when I lay awake thinking about our people, and I don't have answers.
Right.
All of us leaders want to keep a stiff upper lip, but the fact is we haven't never been through this before. I've been through 9/11 and the financial crisis and Katrina and all those. And the problem is we don't have a definitive end to this. So we don't know what the future brings.
Right.
Even modeling it after China, they're only at 15% occupancy and they're 4 months in. So is that what we're going to be like? I do believe this: travel, tourism, hospitality, serving others is the fabric of our country. And we will be back in full force. The question is what is it going to look like when we get back? And what does Chesapeake look like? What does Ambridge and Interstate look like? Or you name it. I mean, what do we look like when we come out of this? Because there's millions of people at risk here in the short term with their employment.
Right. Anthony?
Well, I think we'll come out of it faster than China, because China, everything's closed right now. Every country seems to be closing down. China is basically still closed down, so there's no one going in. I think when we open back up, I think there'll be a lot more travel to America. So I think the ramp up, as Sean was saying the other day, the metrics were good going in. I think coming out a lot quicker than people think. Still not, obviously what we want instantly. You press the button and it goes. But I think the way the industry was when we closed, I think all the borders opening will help us a lot more than what you're seeing in China.
That's right. I agree, Mike. Now, I think what Anthony said is encouraging going forward. But Steve Kirby over at Mumford is curious as to what are you hearing from the franchise companies? We know what they said on Capitol Hill. I'm starting to see some letters being sent out about certain deferments, et cetera, et cetera. But are you getting clear messaging from the major brands that you partner with? And if so, what are they telling you?
The brands have been very proactive in getting information out to us.
Right.
Marriott has been really good, especially even going down from passing out how to close down a hotel, how to reopen a hotel.
Right.
Choice has been good in relaying information about in support of doing what you need to do, owner of a property in order to survive through this period of time. Hilton is looking into many different things. We've had some conversations with those guys telling us that they're going to roll it out as much as they can all at once with a package on how they're supposedly wanting to help the franchisee in the marketplace at this point.
Right.
It's for us with the franchise companies as well as our team members, our ownership groups. I mean, we're running down essentially 3 different paths and trying to manage all 3 paths. One path of, it is what it is and nothing's going to change. The second path is hopes and some optimism coupled in with realism. And we can do for our team members in hotels. And then also the last path, regardless of which side, is making recommendations to our ownership groups that have hired us to operate their hotels. They never did hire us to close their hotels. So this is I feel like we're in a Star Trek episode and we're going to places where no one's ever gone before. Down, seeing what happened, but we have to make recommendations to our ownership groups that we operate with, both from a financial perspective, and how to weather the storm. Like I said, in those other 2 ways, either it is what it is, or for the government to come in and give us some guidance.
And we've got some questions coming in that are going to go right to the heart of that. But I'm going to give Anthony another chance to make a comment.
Well, again, there's nothing I can add to that. But one of the things that I think is really important, we may not be able to keep employees employed. We may have to make some serious decisions. We made them yesterday. We're going to make them tomorrow. We're going to make them next week. But things like giving employees access to doing things at home mindset, whether it be yoga or working out, giving them access and allowing the employer to kind of take care of that and show their employees this is, hey, everybody needs something to look forward to. You're going to work from home, but also we implore you to please, take advantage of this course or this class. So I think that that's really important, is that you can maybe not be able to give them a financial reward. You can't give them, maybe you can't even give them their paycheck, but you can give them services that when they're home, they have something to look forward to. And I know just personally in my neighborhood, our gym's doing things on the beach, and it really helps everybody. Everybody's got to help everybody get through this. So we're talking about financial things. We're talking about what the government can do. We're talking about how we can help our owners. But the number one thing that we have to worry about is we have to worry about the mindset, and we have to worry about the people who are under stress, who don't have the resources that some of the people on this call have. So that to me is the most important thing we have to do coming out of this.
Right. I think that makes a whole lot of sense. So we're talking about 2 issues here. What can possibly the government do? And then the reality of what you guys are dealing with right now. We got a couple of questions on that reality part, and then we'll get to the questions on the governmental part. Both Craig Sullivan, founder of the Click Conference, and Hitesh Patel, president of a BMHG, are wondering what are the top items that you immediately think about having to do deferring? Mortgages, property taxes, franchise fees, whatever it might be. Kerry, we haven't heard from you in a while. You want to maybe take a stab at that one?
Look, I think that's an important piece. I think to everybody's discussion around people, that's vital. And the thing is, if we can't get some of these deferrents from an ownership perspective, we're not going to have the ability to do anything with the people. And so, I think some of the things that happened yesterday in DC's definitely needed. I think some of the small snippets that have come out from the franchise leaders to the small business entrepreneurs that are out there, telling them this is what else we need to do to help yourselves, which in the end, it's about our people. And so to that point, I think in regards to, I think the actual issues at hand on this deferment component and all, even whether it's franchise fees or the debt, if we're only deferring through the time period of what's happening right now, that does nothing for us.
Right.
We're going to deal with a whole nother set of issues as far as this thing's going to be like opening hotels from a ground up perspective or a transition, because these team members that we do have and we cherish and love, they're going to have other opportunities potentially out there that may take them to other places. So we may not get everybody back. So then we're having us come back and actually do additional training that's not budgeted for at this point. So deference is going to have to dig in to a longer period. It can't just be through potentially August or September. I mean, this is something that we really needed. That's probably going to have to drag through the end of the year, that we're getting true leniency from franchisees, from government agencies, from the banks and the lenders. And the lenders is the piece right now that is a sticking component that has to change quickly. I mean, I think that was the best piece yesterday to hear all of these guys talk about it. I know David Kong hit it the hardest.
David Kong is the CEO of Best Western, for those of you who don't know. Please continue, Kerry.
And so I think, I think that's a big piece right now that we're dealing with and trying to figure it out. As we got some of our guys where Mike mentioned, it's a tough decision. We're hired to operate their hotel, and we're also telling them, look, in the best case scenario, we more than likely may have to close this asset. And at the same time, you're looking at it and saying, well, how do you reopen it? How do you reopen it if we can't handle it now? How do I handle bringing team members back into this if we're not getting help on the outside?
Right. Now, it seems like the vast majority of hotels will close, whether or not you guys like it. I mean, Hilton is talking about that. Marriott's talking about that, especially in the bigger markets. But I know there's more to talk about that particular story. But Chris, in the last downturn, it became extend and pretend was the word, right? For bills. I'm wondering right now if it's like extend and hope the lenders get Alzheimer's and forget they even have your loan kind of a situation, right?
Yeah, I mean, Kerry's exactly right. We're going to need a year to recover. If occupancy comes back, and I'm hope that Anthony's right. If we pop back up in September, I mean, we're like Kerry said, we're reopening hotels from scratch. So you're going to be running ramp up scenarios, adding staff, bringing people back, training, and we're going to need a year to get these hotels back. So extend and pretend, we really are going to need, like, I don't know, relief for a while, quite frankly, to get it going again. Because the fact is we may lose a big portion of our workforce, because there are going to be other industries that are still thriving and that people are going to have to go to work. And I mean, that's the saddest thing. The problem is, and it's the hardest thing to get your head around, is 12 days ago, we were coming off industry highs in February, forecasting a great remainder of the year. And in 10 days, we've gone to single digit occupancy in all of my hotels in April. And
that's just heartbreaking. It's so monumental. So Anthony, what do you think about what these guys are saying? You've been like the industry's big fix-it artist, but can you even fix it? How do you approach it?
Well, the question I have, I want to say, one, there's zero chance the government's not going to come in and start bailing out the hospitality industry. Zero chance. That's going to happen. How that happens, how big that is, how that's going to affect all of us, I don't know. So that's number one. Number two, how do we talk to an employee? So I want to ask all three gentlemen on the call, how do you, front desk manager, who's been with you for 3 or 4 or 5 years, who's living paycheck to paycheck, what is the mindset and how do you do that? How do you have that conversation? What would you implore them to do to get through this?
I think, I mean, from our perspective, it's actually not so much as us talking back to our general managers, our team members. I have been just ultimately impressed with HP Hotels corporate staff and our GMs out in the field. With them coming back to us, they have a complete understanding of what's going on. They have come back and told us at this point in time, we're here, whatever you need in order to make this happen. Anywhere from offers of taking pay cuts, to working part-time. It's really been amazing. I mean, because everybody understands it's just not the hospitality business going through this. It's every business almost going through this, and there's a complete understanding throughout. Whatever we can do and whatever we can try in order to help some of the pain that's starting to incur is the ultimate thing that we could do at this point in time is have our humanity about us in the hospitality business and getting everybody to understand, and they already do, that the more knowledge we can put out, the more facts we can put out, the better decisions we can make, as well as our staff can make too.
Right, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, what we've been doing, Anthony, is total transparency. That's how I am as a manager. Anyways, I've always been. We've told everybody this scenario. Our team has been fully informed, and when we talk to people, we're setting in place processes of weekly and monthly communications with people that may not be on payroll going forward for a while. We're setting up a relief fund where we're going to be able to send Amazon gift cards to our associates that are out of work to help make ends meet while we can, and we want to keep them in the know, so that so we've tasked our corporate revenue team to watch any bookings out. I mean, basically anything past June. If we start seeing any life, we're going to start sharing that with our people. Like, okay, this company's traveling, and we're going to share that with people, and we're going to encourage them to stay connected to us through our employee communications portal and through the communications that I put out daily, to hear what's happening. We want to try and give them hope, because we're hopeful people by nature in hospitality. And so we're looking for little glimmers of hope to give them that. Our team has done the same thing. I had someone call and say, as long as she can maintain her health insurance, she won't take a paycheck for a while. I mean, it's amazing. And we're looking at all options.
So let me say something about this. That is the most incredible thing. And I want to take a moment. Let's step back and look at how amazing people are and how everybody seems to be rallying around and understanding that this is something that we've never seen or experienced before. I want to hear some more of those positive stories from the people that you're dealing with. Maybe each of you could share something positive that you've experienced in regards to your communications with your people, and how there seems to be a positive feedback loop with what's happening, if there could be something like that.
I mean, we've heard stories at this point in time where our team members or our hotels are volunteering to go out and deliver groceries to the elderly or people that are quarantined in their houses, helping people get from one location to a different location. Just being the true spirit of hospitality all along. It's just like Chris says. I mean, it's hope. I mean, I was always taught growing up in the business world that hope isn't a strategy. Well, for the first time in the world, I think hope is a strategy at this point in time, and doing what we can, we're laying it out.
Right. Well, in order to be able, Mike's gotten a little fuzzy there. Ooh, that was really fun. I don't know if you were actually finished or not, but Anthony, what do you think about this?
Well, I think that's exactly right. We have to help each other, and not to compare this to wartime or to compare us to people.
I think we need to compare it to wartime.
but I think we have to have a mindset of we don't really need much. And we've realized that through a lot of different things we've been through. I know some people on this phone call, specifically me, I've been through Sandy. We got our whole neighborhood wiped out. And, I've always had the mindset. I've always run my hotels and my business like I'm going out of business. I've always been, try to be efficient and always try to never get too high or too low. And we need that mindset. And we need leaders to lead. We need people to step up. And that's my biggest frustration coming back from the military into civilian life. There's not many leaders. People talk about it, but people don't walk the walk. So now we need to see leaders step up. And so whether anybody on this call, which everyone us on here, we're managers, and we'll take care of our people, and we'll take care of the people around us. But we need everyone, even the young manager that's at the front desk that's never been in a situation like this before. We need to look to them and give them words of advice and encouragement. The littlest deed right now goes a long way.
Yeah, does, Kerry?
That's a good point. Yeah, look, I think that's the piece of it that I think Anthony's right is whether it's every deed or sometimes a hug or a pat on the back, and listening to them. And I think to Chris's point, the communication component, I think we figure, hey, every now and then when we're sending out or having personal calls about things is help. This is a totally different situation of where the only way I think is through constant communication, whether it be through the social media pieces, or I think as Chris had mentioned, doing weekly updates with the facts and here's where we are, and then trying to tell a good story as we're coming out of this, to keep them informed. I think that's been one of the biggest pieces for us too, whether it's our managers or our team members, is what are we putting out there? Can we lead them to make any other stress that's outside of work better? So if there are things as far as needs and materials or things for their homes, can we give that to them? As far as if we're shutting down, can we share that with them potentially if needed? It was amazing to be on a call the other day as we're talking through a strategy of a potential close down. And we did have some hourly team members and managers on the phone, and they had talked about the food pieces of, look, we're going to be closed, and what about us giving these to some homeless shelters and doing that? And so to what we are through the core is a hospitality component, and that's what's been special of this, and trying to make sure that we take care of these people throughout this it absolutely tears at your heart.
Right.
And I think what's
Anthony?
important is to talk to people before they ask the question. I think a lot of us, I know I never in my career asked for help. I never want to bother my boss for anything. I'm self-reliant. I think probably most of us on the call, we try to be self-reliant. So I think we need to ask questions to get pointed answers, because people are going to be struggling and people are going to need services that they may be afraid to ask for or may be embarrassed to ask for.
Right. That's for sure. Somebody suggested they love the idea of the gift cards, so perhaps maybe grocery store gift cards or Walmart gift cards or something like that would be a great idea. I'm also getting a lot of calls saying that the franchisors need to reduce fees, the OTAs need to reduce fees, and I get that emotional reaction from people, but I also have to consider the fact that they're employing people too, and they're in the same situation as all of you are, and as I am, and as everyone is. So what are realistic expectations from what we should be getting from the brands right now? Or maybe perhaps it's one of those things where we need to see what the government's going to do first. Chris, have you put any thought of that into this yet?
I wanted to say something. I can talk about the brands in a second. I think they're going to have to
whatever you need to say.
Share, but I will tell you that I have seen genuine hospitality through this, and I mean that through our vendor partners.
Good.
I haven't made one call to any vendor partner that hasn't said, we understand, we'll reduce your contract, we'll put you on hold. Everybody, all these hospitality companies get it, and it makes me super proud to be in this business with these people like that are on this call. So people are pitching in. It's going to be brutally tough. But people that are watching this need to know that your leaders and your companies, not the ones that are on here, but all companies are working for your best. I've had so many calls with leaders of other companies that are like, how can I help my people? How can we get through this? We love our company and what we've built. And, on a normal time, Mike and Kerry and I might be competing for a deal, but we're not now. We're all the same. I mean, we're all hospitality, and we're all looking. I actually talked to the CEO of another company, and I said, hey, I've got a VP in Atlanta, and I know you've got big density in Atlanta, but your offices are in DC. Do you want our VP to go by and check on your hotels? I mean, we don't even work for the same company.
Right.
But it doesn't matter. We need to take care of people and take care of hospitality. As far as your question on the brands, they're going to have to do something, but they're bleeding bad too. You saw Marriott posted thousands of layoffs and furloughs. It's going to be brutal. Everybody's fee stream. And Glenn, to be transparent, right? Your business is being impacted. So
no, I've been telling people I'm down 80% at this point. I've lost everything going forward for who knows. And I don't know how much longer people can necessarily stay with me. Every day I get another email. We love you, but so it is what it is, right?
Hey, Glenn, we just love you. There's no but to it.
Hey, Glenn, they could all say they love you, but who sent you a video this morning?
That's true. He did send me videos, and he keeps sending me important videos, such as Borat running on the beach in a mankini. So as long,
what was the 3-second video I sent you this
you
morning?
did,
Tell everybody.
you did. Anthony did send me a video saying that he loves me, and that meant a lot. And we could all use those virtual hugs right now. But man, Chris, I love how sympathetic you can be to what the major companies are experiencing, and you're not looking at it as just this being a Chesapeake issue. So really applaud you for thinking that way. So Mike, I'm sure you feel the same way too, but so then maybe what does the government have to do here specifically, in your opinion? And I know it's a rough question because everything is so fluid, but what would you like to see?
I think at this point, there's a realization that if you look behind Kerry's head, there's a picture of the world map, that this is a global issue that we're facing right now. And global, not only worldly, but I mean, everyone is facing it. So there was a point where we were having a conversation. Wouldn't it be nice if everybody just postponed payments for mortgages, electricity, or whatever for a specific length of time, because we're all in the same boat. And if we could postpone payments or defer payments to a later date until the virus has subsided and we get back into it. I mean, to me, you can pay us all the money you want to pay us. The government wants to send a check. I think that's awesome. Defer payroll taxes, that's great. But the payroll tax issue is, you know, if you're not getting a check, you're not paying payroll taxes anyway. So it's kind of like you want to put the world on hold for 30, 60 days, or just back around. I personally have deep concerns about like the stock market. And I remember after 9/11, we closed the stock market for 5 days. Because people were panicking, and we're having that same type of panic today, and people's wealth, what little they may have left, is still disappearing on a very quick basis. So I want the brands to defer payments for franchise fees for the last at least 60 days and for the next 60 to 90 going forward. I know they have to pay people too. I think it doesn't have to be a full deferment, but a majority of it. I think the local communities for sales tax, lodging tax, things of that nature need to be deferred in an effort for people to hold on for as much capital as they can in an effort to take care of the people that work for each of us on a day in, day out basis. And Chris, I do applaud you for the Amazon gift cards. That's an awesome idea, dude.
Right. Somebody says, hey, why not cash?
It's one of my partners came up with it. So
I just want to say, somebody said, hey, why not cash? I think it's probably easier with gift cards and stuff.
We can't. I mean, yeah, it'd be hard to mail cash. I don't know if I'd do that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that they were taken care of. Anthony.
I just wanted to add that this is why we have a federal government. You know, no matter which side of the aisle you're on, we don't have a federal government just in good times. We have a federal government for things like this. We have a National Guard for a reason. We have a strong military for a reason. This is when our country shines. This is when our country shows that we are the best country in the world. So our country will step up, and people will be bailed out, and this will be turned around, period. End of story, because it has to be. And that's why we have a strong infrastructure. We're the best country suited to deal with this, and we just got to leave all of our political opinions out the window. There's no reason or no room for it. But this country will come back better, stronger, 100%, and we all have to believe that because it's true. Yep. But we have to all do our part. And to your point, people got to forgive lots of things. Right now, I don't think you're going to call a creditor. Right here in New York City, all debt collection has stopped. It's illegal to try to claim a debt. So you're going to see that kind of behavior next 30 to 60 days because we're at zero and we need to build from there.
You know, Glenn, the thing that I keep rolling this, I'd love to hear Mike and Kerry's kind of thought on this. Is we were crushing it February 29th,
right?
Crushing it. So fundamentally, when we come out of this, right, when the virus passes, and I know that the stock market's going to be at whatever number it's going to be, but what I'm struggling to figure out what would keep us from getting back to similar levels at a reasonable pace, because what's different other than this virus that's rolling through?
Kerry?
So
Yeah, I agree with Chris. As a matter of fact, we've tried to actually, I think Mike and I use the word proactively get in front of things and trying to think through that, Chris. I think we're looking at it as the fact that we will pick up and pick up where we left off. And then obviously with everything that's happened, the back end of the year is going to end up being strong and then trying to fill in some of these cancellations and holes where maybe we didn't have business already on the books. So it should be even better potentially on the near term as far as when we get out of this. But we didn't see anything as well that showed us any type of slowdown through this, Chris, either.
Yeah.
I mean, everything we looked at, it's like, okay, how do we get out of this as we're coming out? That's the biggest piece too, is that we're going to have to think differently too, because I think the first few months, you're probably going to look at some pent up pieces that allows you local marketing perspectives of 3-hour drive radiuses to where people are maybe still hesitant on a flight piece. So how do we get back to that staycation type components, pent up? I've got to get out. My kids have been home and homeschooling now for the last 60 days. My wife said the other day, she goes, don't mention the H word in here. Homeschooling's not allowed. So, so I think I agree with Chris, and that's what we saw. And nothing that pointed towards any type of take back or slow down. And this is only I think it'll escalate, especially coming out of this probably even first quarter of next year, maybe even some better numbers than previously were on the books.
Yep. I think that's good, positive type spirits. And I was joking around yesterday saying after being confined with your family for so long, we won't just take a road trip. We'll all each get separate rooms so we don't have to actually be together on these road trips. So that's going to really help occupancy numbers. Anthony?
I was listening to something on Facebook yesterday, and someone said, I'm homeschooling my student. I was wondering if I can transfer them out of my class. I thought that was funny. Listen, again, positivity and reality have to meet, and the reality is we will get through this, and we're all taking it on the chin. The good news is, there's some type of sometimes in the world we all pose, right? People have, like, I have this and I have that, my 401k, and I got a nicer car and I got a nice house. We're all here. We're all at zero, man. We're all just trying to get through, and we've all kind of got to start over. And a lot of us are in a better position than most, and we've just got to help the people around us. But we're all starting from zero once this thing's over in the hospitality industry. When it comes to rebuilding our hotels, rebuilding the confidence in our employees, rebuilding the confidence in everyone. And so I'm just really glad to be on the phone with everyone and to see the strong leadership that is in these management companies, because as we know, the hospitality industry, this country can't survive without it.
Right. And this is why I'm leaving the hotel business and going into toilet paper futures, because I think that is where we all need to be. Mike?
One thing about being in the hospitality business and what Chris and Anthony and Kerry and I've been reiterating this time, we all know there are a bunch of single owner operators out there that are having to survive this on their own and stuff like that. I'm sure all of us in the management company world, as well as French, I would welcome telephone calls if you need assistance as well. What to do for your one hotel, what to do with your staff to make it happen. We're not only here to help ourselves, we're here to help everyone else. And I know right now, if you're a one hotel owner and that's your livelihood all the way around, it's even more scarier than being in a management company right now.
Right.
So please take an opportunity, call somebody, ask for help. We'll be there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think that's great.
Let me, if I can just add to that real quick, and then I'll stop talking about hospitality success. We have a Facebook page called Hospitality Success Program. It's open. Our program, Hospitality Success, is a paid program, but this is an open program now. We've opened it up to everyone. So if you are looking for help, go to Hospitality Success Program on Facebook. Give us your information. If you ask us a question, we will be able to get to these management companies, to these brands, to third parties. We'll try to get you help. We'll all help each other. We launched it about 4 or 5 days ago, and we have I think 300 participants already. So for those independent hotels that don't have a management company, don't have a brand, please go on there, ask us questions. We'll get them to the gentleman on this call and others. And that's a service that we need to do in this time. Glenn's on there. Glenn's lending information. We're lending content. So, or just email me or Glenn, and we'll get you answers to the right, get your questions to the right people.
That's right. And this community is coming together really fast, really quickly. It's jumped 50%, I think, in the last 24 hours. So let's keep it going. Hospitality strong. We can all get through this together. Chris, you were going to say something.
Well, I was going to do two things. One, I would support Mike 100%. We actually, you can email COVID at ChesapeakeHospitality.com, and we'll aggregate those emails and respond to you. Somebody from our team will be glad to do that.
Beautiful.
That's our internal help site for the current process. So, and we're here, to just support this community. I am going to call some people out, if you don't mind. I'm not going to call them out by name, but
I understand.
And I'm going to give a tip. And you might already be on top of it. These good companies, but as these major events are moving, for example, Derby, Masters, all that, we're reducing staffing system wide. So when Derby moved, I have a hotel in Louisville. Somebody, and I'm not going to call them out here, went in before our team was able to shut the inventory off and booked all the rooms at very, very low rates, which is going to hurt the hospitality industry. So if that's you and you're taking advantage of our industry,
right?
And when we're trying to have people laid off, we're going to find out and we're going to cancel your reservations. I'm telling you.
Good. I think that's the right approach to take, and a real jerk move for people to do something like that. All right. I'm starting to feel like that we've probably spoken about this stuff as much as we can, but I do have another question to you, Chris. What is realistic that when we will see relief and stimulus funds to hotel and individual entities? I know it's very fluid. I'm not even sure you can have an answer, right?
I don't have an answer. The soonest possible. I mean, I think that Mike's exactly right, that we need the government to say everybody's on hold on. I mean, all you banks that have done so well for the last 10 years, we need to put everything on hold for 60 days. Mortgage payments, brands, if they can, need to give us a break for 60, 90 days and let the dust settle so we can even figure out how to get our owners and our own companies applying for this aid, because it's the government. Nothing's going to happen super fast.
Right. Yeah, it's got to happen super fast. Otherwise, the problem is going to get exacerbated very, very, very quickly out there. All right. One more. And if somebody wants to know any thoughts on the casino segment and the recovery time period, I'm not sure these guys really can speak to that. But my hunch is that if people have money, they're going to go and they're going to spend the money in casinos like they always had when those things come back to business. The only thing is, how frightened are people going to be about touching those slot machines and the chips and all of that kind of stuff? Yeah. Anyone have any context you want to give, or is that pretty much just cover it?
I mean, MGM, president and CEO of that, was in the meeting yesterday about voluntary closing all the hotels and casinos in Vegas, Mississippi, everywhere else around. I'm sure that'll follow more and more at this point. Online gambling might be a good investment at this point.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I forgot what story I saw, but there was one company that has computerized slot machines. Like there's a camera and a button that you could push, so you could play a real slot machine remotely, and they were making a lot of money in Nevada on.
Have not heard that one.
All right.
Was it? I think they said yesterday in regards to that. I think Arnie and I think Michael Brown, and then also MGM CEO had said, even though, for instance, in Macau, it's back up and running, they're still only at 2%.
Wow.
So even at this time frame, and look, obviously, I think to Anthony's point, things will happen quicker here. But just to give a context of it, at 2% being back open, I think a couple of weeks probably speaks to whether, from a gaming perspective, what the time frame is going to be in getting that back.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, all the Apple stores in China are open. And I know as soon as the casinos open going, I'm bringing my Lysol and I'm sitting at the poker table.
That's great. I absolutely love it. All right. Let's wrap this up with anything that you want to say, but no matter what it is, let's finish on something positive and inspirational. Kerry, let's start with you, sir.
We're here for everybody. And this is together opportunity for us to do something that we have always done in hospitality business, but to take a true leadership role in it. And to that, we have a responsibility and we take it seriously. And, look, it will be short-lived. We'll get through this too. We always have gotten through tough things, and the other side of this does look positive. So let's just stick together through it. And that's my piece.
Mike?
I guess the biggest thing I can tell everybody is don't let anxiety get the best of you right now. Take action where you can. Help your fellow person whenever you can. Just don't let this turn you into, just letting it just get to you to a point where you can't even move. I mean, this will pass at some point. Nobody knows exactly when. Nobody knows the exact date. Nobody knows how it's going to happen, whether it's going to be vaccine, burnout, whatever. So, but don't let the anxiety keep you from living your life.
Great words, Chris.
Well, I just remember standing in the lobby of a hotel after 9/11, thinking that the world had changed forever, and having some despair and some concern. But what I know is we're resilient. We're Americans. We're resilient. We're a melting pot of people that have moved to this country. Hospitality is probably the most resilient industry. That we do the most. We serve some of the most personal things, a bed and a meal for people every day, and we take care of them. That's going to come back, and it's going to be great. So hang on to hope and do everything you can in the meantime my daughter goes to a small college, and she got a letter from the president. Just said, listen, we're all going to have a little bit of extra time probably. Use that for value. Learn to paint, play the guitar, spend time with your family. Do things that matter. Our company motto is do what matters most, and that's what we need to do every day.
That's right. And that's why I'm going to use this downtime to finally get to that book that I've been saying that I'm going to write for all of this this time. So I'm hoping, hey, I may lose most of my business, but if I could sell these things at $20 at a time, then, maybe I'll be able to pay my mortgage in a couple of months from now. Anthony, I got a bunch of stuff I want to say about programming that's coming up, but I want to hear your final thoughts before we get into that.
I talk about personal branding. I've talked all over this country and parts of the world about personal branding. Well, now is the time to really reconsider your personal brand. And for people listening to this, the first thing I'll ask you to ask yourself is, what's your superpower? What's the thing that you're better at than no one else is? Because there's going to be tremendous opportunity coming out of this. So you have to start thinking like an entrepreneur. You got to start thinking about your personal brand, and you got to be thinking about your superpower. Because when this thing starts ramping up again, there's going to be tremendous opportunity for people that are entrepreneurial and people who are thinking about their personal brand. So now is the time to start. And right now is not time for productivity. It is time for, and I hate the terminology self-care, but it is time to learn how to paint. It is time to take long walks on the beach. It is time to get close to your family. But don't forget about your personal brand, and don't forget about how do you come out of this and how do you get in front of the curve. That's what you need to be thinking about.
Great. And I do want to say that we are going to be continuing to bring you the stories that you need to hear right now. I'd love to get all of you guys back in a couple of weeks or so and see how you're faring over there. Anytime you want to come back, you're welcome to join us at our next LinkedIn Lives. But for those of you watching right now, it looks like we're going to get Chip Rogers, the president and CEO of AHLA, on the line with us tomorrow to talk about what is actually happening on Capitol Hill, the progress they've made. I know a lot of stuff is going on today, which is why we're booking Chip for tomorrow. And on Friday, we're going to try to do a feel-good Friday, move that positivity forward as much as we possibly can, create some positive vibes for you guys to go in on the weekend. Maybe this weekend, we might get to see the lovely Miss Stein, my spouse, to give us some tips on how you might be able to entertain the children in this downtime without going crazy. And then we'll go forward from that point. Next week, expect Anthony and I to be talking to great folks like purchasing pros and designers and hotel operators and how all of those things are coming together. And guys, I just want to say thank you again for being here today. The fact that you would take time out of the biggest crisis of your life to speak to us, and then to be so open and to be so honest and forthright about what you're experiencing is unbelievable. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thanks, guys. And, be sure to join us every day here on LinkedIn. Our times are still flexible. I don't know what's going on. We're just trying to make our best, but we are here for you. We are here to be your positive strength through this crisis, and we will all get through. Hashtag Hospitality Strong. Love you guys. Stay tuned for another broadcast coming up another day. Take care, guys.
Peace out.